Okay, so Dr. Klaper, I just am appreciative that you were willing to have a few words with us that we can share with our club members and people that are likely to be really interested in taking action on some of the things that you're doing or are already most likely involved in that in one way or another. And I think one of the things that you said on the main show that I want to go into a little bit more, and then there's a few other questions, is you said that humans, in spite of the paleo philosophy, which is increasingly popular right now, and among some really well-intentioned doctors doing good food because they get rid of processed food, which is always great. But you mentioned that humans are not carnivorous apes, and what I've found, and I want to see what you think about it, is that that's not only physiological, but psychological and emotional as well, and that to eat meat, you have to turn off emotion, which blocks a certain kind of growth in consciousness. What do you think about that?
Oh, I'm in 100% agreement. I would invite your listeners to go to YouTube and see the presentation by my colleague, Dr. Milton Mills, M-I-L-L-S, M.D., and it's called Is Man an Herbivore or an Omnivore? And Dr. Mills walks up one side and down the other of the anatomy of our bodies, and there's no question we are herbivores. We are not even omnivores. And we can go into the finer details if you like, but there's no question about that. And you are absolutely right psychologically, and Dr. Mills makes the same point. If people point to our canine teeth and say, aha, see, we're supposed to be... Right. But if you look in the mirror, your canines are shorter than your central incisors in the front. Ask your house cat to open its mouth. You'll see some real canine teeth. And that jut down from the upper jaw. If your teeth look like that, then I say go to the butcher shop, get a big slab of porterhouse steak, walk out on the curb, rip the paper off, and
I mean, there are vegetarians who try to raise their cats on salads, and I don't think that's a very good idea.
No, that's not natural. But I'm talking of the fact that it's just not that doesn't make our mouths water to eat raw flesh. Or how about that vaunted wild-caught salmon? Why don't you put it into a blender and whir it up and make a nice salmon smoothie for yourself and chug-a-lug that down? Is that appetizing? When people say,
it makes me want to stop the show immediately. And
really, really. But your house cat would say yum. I mean, that's the difference between the carnivore and the herbivore. And I just want to point out that we do not adapt to a meat-based diet, and our paleo friends are, unfortunately, are setting themselves up for an epidemic of clogged arteries and colon cancer and autoimmune disease and type 2 diabetes and dementia. This is a diet of death. This is not the proper diet for human beings. That's what these diseases are about. We don't adapt to a flesh-based diet. That's why our arteries clog. That's why these inflammatory reactions get set up.
Well, and that would happen even if we caught the animal ourselves, ripped it apart, and ate it while it was dying, like most carnivores actually do.
Yep.
If you take those same carnivores that thrive on that diet and you cook their meat, they all get human diseases just from that.
Exactly. That should tell us something huge. And I use an automotive analogy. I say, listen, if you have a nice brand new Ford V6, gasoline burning engine car, and it's humming along with gasoline, you can add a little bit of diesel fuel, which is kerosene. You can add a little bit of that to the fuel mixture. Car will still run okay. You can add a little more kerosene. Now it's starting to run a little rough. Add a little more kerosene. Now there's black smoke coming out the back. Add some more kerosene. Now it's spitting and coughing and sputtering, and add some more kerosene, the fuel line clogs up and the engine stops. Right. That engine was never, for 1 millisecond, not a gasoline-burning engine. It was always a gasoline-burning engine. It didn't adapt. And
it wasn't an omnivore engine, right?
They had no point. And that's the point. We are herbivorous, foliage-digesting creatures. We are never not flesh-eating creatures. And I'm not saying, look at the biggest vegans on the planet. Gorillas, never eat flesh. I'm sure probably the occasional beetle winds up on the leaves that they're chewing on. And,
yeah.
But as far as a flesh-based diet, like we humans have assumed is normal, no primate eats that.
They're not sneaking up on the beetles or anything.
No, and the carnivores, no tiger eats flesh 3 times a day like we do. They don't have bacon in the morning and a burger in the afternoon and chicken at night. This flesh-based diet is so abnormal, and it's causing us at the root of the majority of diseases we're treating. And these paleo folks, God love them, are going to find out the hard way. And I've already seen my first colon cancer in a paleo woman, and it's not going to be the last, I fear. This is just not the natural diet for human beings.
And you do even worse if you try raw food with paleo. I know people that have died from eating raw meat.
Absolutely. No matter what the mighty hunter myth, first of all, it is mostly a myth. Most hunts were unsuccessful. Most of the time, the guys came back empty-handed. If they did drag a carcass back into camp, it rotted within a day or two. There was no refrigeration. When you examine the fecal droppings of the Paleolithic folks, they're eating huge amounts of fiber. And the truth is, most calories brought into the Paleolithic camp were gathered by the women who spent all day foraging and pulling up roots and tubers and starchy corms and nuts and grasses. That's what got us.
And it's probably they that figured out how to grow them too.
Exactly. Right. Once again, the women got us through the tough times here. But this whole mighty hunter paleo myth it's a myth, and it's one that's going to lead the folks who follow it to I fear a dreadful end. This is not a normal diet for human beings, and we're going to spawn a tremendous amount of diseases as a result. That pendulum's going to swing back hard, I fear. I hope doctors who recommend it have good malpractice insurance.
And there's a real, it's such a strong non-physical level too, which also affects the body, which is that at some point, if you're fortunate, you realize that to intentionally inflict pain and death, you have to shut off part of your own consciousness.
I'm so glad you said that. That's absolutely true. We got to pretend that this meat, quote unquote meat, isn't really an animal, comes from quote the farm somewhere.
The word meat is really misleading.
Oh, absolutely. All the obfuscating synonyms we come up with: venison and pork and beef. Mm-hmm. These are the muscles of animals who love their life as much as you do, and here we are dining on their flesh for no reason. There's nothing in it that we require. I haven't had flesh in 30 years, and I ran 5 miles yesterday. And there's nothing. The biggest animals on the planet don't eat flesh. The elephants and buffaloes and giraffes. We certainly don't need it. And our lust for flesh is destroying this planet as well as our individual lives. It's time, no matter what the mighty hunter myth was in the past, it's time to turn that page.
Isn't it interesting that some of the human murderers very commonly start by killing animals?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think there's any coincidence there either. But it's we're being asked as individuals and as a species to turn the page on that bloody past. If we want to survive as an individual living a long, healthy life, and as a species, we must evolve our diet to one based on plants. We've got to become Homo plant eater. And if we do that, this will thrive. But if we don't, I fear for our species as well as my friends as individuals. So it's time to leave the flesh eating behind in the dark ages where it belongs. Let's move on to a brighter, healthier, greener future by eating plants.
Yeah. I'm also really encouraged by the fact that you're talking to students and interns from naturopathic colleges, because the last one I visited was becoming totally symptomatic and losing touch with the body, the fact that the body has its own immunity and healing systems, and they were actually starting to promote vaccines. It was really amazing.
Yes.
And that's spreading now under a lot of pressure, and I hope that reverses.
Yeah, a lot of evolution happening there. Strange juxtapositions you wouldn't think. I agree.
Right. But the whole lifestyle thing is great, and the idea that the doctors, except for emergencies like a few congenital defects that require surgery and accidents and stuff like that, the rest of it is all teaching and encouragement and maybe teaching a new psychology so that it's not so difficult to change lifestyle.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm a member of the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, and when I tell a lot of my doctor friends I'm in lifestyle medicine, they get a little haughty. Oh, that's just the waste of time stuff. The truth is, it's the most powerful medicine of all. It reverses these fearsome diseases, and my colleagues who have contempt for it, I predict that I'll meet them in a year or two or three. Michael, you were talking about, it turns out you were right. My patient, it'll happen. And it's not a matter of me being right. It's a matter of the truth coming out.
Yeah, humans have to go through a learning process of doing things in a way that's not good for a certain amount of time.
They do.
You can't just read about it.
No, sometimes, but by and large, we're slow learners as a species. I agree.
Wouldn't it be valuable if you had some way that people could take the necessity for willpower out of the process of changing lifestyle? For sure. And then it gets into psychology and economics. And when you walk into a supermarket and you push your cart down those aisles, here you are, bombarded with messages that really are not in your best interest, to say the least, to sell you every fatty, sugary, meaty, junky thing they can. Wouldn't it be nice if the supermarket was really a palace of healthy food and nutritional education, and every it was just filled mostly with produce, and here's how to prepare this fruit and that vegetable. And yes, it could all change, but there's got to be, as you said, with the healthcare system, there's got to be money in it. But it could be done. Well, right, but I'm saying, what if that doesn't happen right away? There's still another option, which is something that we've been exploring, and that is that if humans get a certain kind of self-awareness, then the guidance that's as natural as their own healing system becomes conscious, and they start following that, and the outer distractions don't act as strongly. Very good. They're very sophisticated, and I agree. And I tell my patients, whatever's on your fork or in your hand as you're about to put in your mouth, say, this is going to be washing through my cells in about 20 minutes. Is this going to make my tissues healthier, or is it going to cause more disease and disruption? And to take responsibility for what our foods do to us, and every choice makes a difference. I tell my patients, your body is never not looking. You can't tell your body, look over here and have a cheeseburger there. Yeah, well, what was that? And it's just like you got to burying your belt in your shoes, right? After you realized that it's not just your food. There's a lot of stuff that we eat not through our mouths. Yes. And when you use body care products that are not edible, that's another issue. Yep. Because that's the same reason that birth control patches and nicotine patches work. You bet. We absorb a lot of stuff through our skin. That's absolutely true. So I would think that you'd be out there teaching, you've got so much work to do, but the teaching of people all the alternatives from especially really severe ones like the hair dyes and sunscreens and all the stuff that they're absorbing directly into their bloodstream. Right, there's got to be alternatives to that. Toxic world. We've accepted all this, and if a Martian came down here, it would really scratch his tentacles there, saying, "Well, why do you people put that stuff on your skin? Don't you know it gets into your bloodstream?" It's amazing what we've come to accept as normal, and we seem to have an infinite capacity of putting up with unnatural situations here. But I'm glad, but more and more folks are becoming aware that there's got to be better ways to do these things, and shows like this help them have the courage to think outside the box and to think of better ways to do things. Are you going to keep working with True North for the foreseeable future, do you think? Yes, absolutely. In fact, this afternoon I do electronic Skype-in rounds with the interns every Thursday afternoon. Neat. Okay. I ask who's in the house, anybody interesting or challenging, and we talk about the cases. And so I am absolutely doing electronic teaching rounds with the interns there. I'm available. People want to do consultations with me. Go to my website, drklaper.com.
and click on contacts. There's a little form to fill out, and you can arrange a phone consultation, but I do Skype and FaceTime. I love to see the people I'm talking to.
Skype is great. I mean, it's almost like they can go into your office from anywhere in the world.
Absolutely. I'm doing more and more telemedicine. I do 3 days of telemedicine every week from wherever I am, so people can consult with me directly if they'd like to, and the True North folks have access to that as well.
Okay, drklaper.com, right? C-L-A-P-E-R.
No, K-L-A.
K-L-A, 1-P-E-R.
1-P.
And doctor is spelled out.
It's all spelled out, so DOCTORKLAPER.com.
Okay, and healthpromoting.com for True North.
For True North.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds great. Hopefully we'll be in touch with you shortly, too.
Oh, wonderful. That'd be great.